Former TV weatherman Fred Talbot has been convicted of a string of sex offences against schoolboys he took on trips to Scotland more than 35 years ago. The predator, now 67, abused his position of trust to indecently assault 7 teenage boys in his care during camping and boating trips in the 1970s and 1980s while he was a biology teacher at Altrincham Grammar School for Boys. Talbot, of Langham Road in Bowdon, Trafford, had denied the allegations, making his victims give evidence during a 9-day trial at Lanark Sheriff Court. The jury took 4 hours over 2 days to convict the former television personality of 7 of the 9 historical abuse charges against him. Once the verdicts were delivered, they were told that Talbot is already serving a 5-year sentence imposed in Manchester in 2015 for indecently assaulting 2 other schoolboys. Sheriff Nicola Stewart will sentence him on the fresh convictions in 3 weeks' time. Talbot, who used to be a regular on the floating weather map in Liverpool's Albert Dock for ITV's This Morning show, sat impassively as the verdicts were delivered. It followed days of overwhelming and compelling evidence against Talbot, including from Stone Roses frontman Ian Brown and a witness appearing over a video link from Australia. The offences, against boys aged 15 to 17, took place between 1978 and 1981, and happened during separate trips to 2 locations in Scotland, near the St Mary's Loch area in Moffat, Dumfries, and Galloway, and the Caledonian Canal in Inverness in the Highlands. A succession of witnesses, now men in their 50s who cannot be named for legal reasons, told of their excitement at going on the excursions, sometimes the first time away from their parents. Talbot was then a young teacher with a relaxed attitude and would talk to the boys about topics such as music, alcohol and sex, the court heard. The men then recounted how Talbot used his position to engineer situations to target the very people he should have been looking after. The court heard of similarities between some of the attacks. They could be at night, when a victim was isolated and after they had consumed alcohol. One man told how he was indecently assaulted as a teenager after a visit to the pub saw him consume 8 pints and whiskey. The witness told of his horror when he awoke, after being singled out to go to the pub, to find Talbot touching him in a tent when he was partially clothed. A witness in Australia recounted how he awoke in his tent to find Talbot making a sexual advance on him. A further witness said he was left petrified when Talbot indecently assaulted him on a trip to the Caledonian Canal in 1979. Singer Brown, 54, not an alleged victim, told the trial Talbot would regularly talk about trips during class but would only invite certain people to go on the excursions. Talbot was cleared of 2 charges, of indecent assault and lewd, indecent and libidinous practices, on not proven verdicts. In 2015, Talbot was convicted at Manchester Crown Court of indecent assaults on 2 pupils from the same school and he was jailed for 5 years. Those assaults took place on school canal barge trips in the Cheshire area in the mid-1970s. Following the new verdicts, Senior Investigating Officer Detective Inspector Brian Lee, of Police Scotland, said, Fred Talbot is a sexual predator who hid behind a mask of respectability. He used his position as a teacher to engineer situations which allowed him to isolate and target his victims. He took advantage of his position of trust to abuse young men in his care.